So I have a back that once or twice a year, it's usually only once or twice a year. Now and then, let's say that. Now and then it gives me quite a bit of grief. That's fine, I'm not going to go on about it, but it's a bit of a nuisance. It hobbles me a little bit regarding getting anything done. And yesterday, that's just kind of what happened. It started to act up. Actually, I was doing something silly like putting on my sweatpants just after getting out of bed first thing in the morning, and I felt a click accompanied by some nice comforting stabbing pain, and that usually marks the beginning of a few days of going easy. Sometimes it goes into a week or two, sometimes not. I don't know, hoping for the best. It's not terrible. I mean, I am sitting at my easel now. Takes a little while to get here. Anyway, it's not too bad. Hopefully it won't last very long. It's just part of life. Okay, so what I am at least going to do, I'm not going to spend much time in front of the easel today because, well, I'm going to spend more time laying down. But I thought I would at least take this old brush. It's not real old, but it's older than my favorite. It's more worn out than my sort of favorite stage of its wear and tear. So when a brush gets to that point, I'll usually just use it for things like this. Foreground doesn't have to be real dark. I just like to remove the competition from the sky, so we'll dumb it all down and we'll go from there. I'm going to have to put a little more ultramarine blue on my palette, or I won't be able to finish this little blob in the foreground. There we go, that should do it. More ultramarine blue, and as usual I mix in a little bit of burnt sienna with it. And a little bit of terps. Yeah, you know, when I get playing in the sky, if I were to leave this tint showing, it's so strong, it would throw off my ability to judge my colors in the upper part of the painting. So let me just drop this a click. And let's sort of just have a quick look at the sky. I haven't decided exactly what to do, but we have a general, yes, we have this bump in the middle of these shapes, but generally it's dropping down towards the left. That's because all along I pretty much had decided I would like to have some kind of action going up here, something reasonably strong. So let's just scratch a couple of lines in here. That dip is too much in the center. Now that this tint is dry, I don't mind scratching charcoal on too much because most of it you can pull back off right away. Okay, a bit of a You know, that would be distant cloud. The tops of more cumulus cloud, thunderstorm-ish stuff. I don't know. This isn't really about a storm specifically, although I'm sure it's going to end up looking kind of stormy. Okay, upper level winds are pushing the top of that over a little bit, maybe, we'll see. I think also because you have a lot of horizontal stuff going on the bottom and it's quite strong, I could probably get away with laying a few cloud shapes in. No, I don't like this one now. Whoops. Maybe that's a little closer. Okay, that starts. Maybe that's a little too close to dead center. There, it overlaps dead center and trails off more in this direction. Maybe that's too much. Maybe that's too long. Yes. Too long. Shorten it. I'll just keep that off to the right. And maybe, I guess I should decide now where my light's coming from, more or less. Maybe I don't have to, depends on how much I break this sky up. You know, I'm tempted to have this cloud, right? And a small cloud here. And the rest of it sort of blue. I will end up with light catching this cloud edge. So if I have a strong blue up here, I'm going to have all this chroma and intensity. Mostly in the center. Very high on the painting. A little bit dicey. I know it's about the sky, but it might be too much. And I might be making a mistake by adding some horizontal, another horizontal line there. Maybe. What if I were to intersect this? What if I were to intersect this bit here with lower level cloud? That might be an idea. Maybe another one? You know, by the shape of these clouds, the wind's coming from the right, moving them to the left. That's how I'm seeing it, or you know, possibly. I'm not thrilled yet. The good thing is that the sky is so layered, and you can have wind way up high in the sky going in virtually the opposite direction of wind as we get closer to the ground. Again, another reason I like skies. You can pull all kinds of tricks out of a hat, and it still remains reasonably plausible. Now, typically, when your horizontal clouds, you know, your sort of wafting, scudding clouds are closer, they take on more shape due to the effect of foreshortening as they go into the distance. As they go into the distance, they appear to be a little bit flatter, but I've got a very round one here. That may or may not be a good idea. You know, I might just go right back into this. All right. Still leaves a lot of charcoal on there. I can see it clearly enough. Do I want that? Do I want to paint clouds that look too much like clouds? Or do I want to paint the impression of clouds? That's pretty cloudy looking cloud. My accuracy will be more down here anyway. I'm confused. Maybe it's the painkillers. Or maybe it's just because I'm confused. And this is all very distant now. What if I were to make a sky appear closer? It's only a 16 by 20. I don't want to end up with a lot of information in there. What I want to end up with is a lot of impact, not information. I don't think I want to go off the top of the canvas there. What we could do also is that there might be the odd rain shower coming down from the underside of this cloud. Right now it appears as though we don't see the bottom of the cloud. What if we were to pretend that we more or less could see the bottom? And if we were to just to lay in sort of a line like that, and for example, maybe we have some rain showers coming down here to break that line up. A little lower value in here, and then coming up to follow this, and then cutting sort of across. And then we go a little higher in value and chroma, just more or less up to this line with the warm colors. Then we have the grayer clouds in here. Then we follow up behind it with either blue or more of this mauve that I have down here. What am I going to do? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. You know what I'm going to do? I just decided I'm going to... I think I like my second idea better in general for this guy. I'm going to rinse the dark stuff out of this brush. And I'm going to take a bit of turpentine and umber. Okay. And a hint of white. Oh, a little too much white there. Okay, I like this line. This is kind of the point where a cloud often starts looking like mountains. But we'll be kind of careful to avoid that. We'll try to keep this looking cloudy. Okay, I like that. I also like it looking a little bit, I wouldn't mind if it's interrupted with a hole looking through there. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe that's what it'll be. Maybe it won't be that. Okay, more or less this is more or less this is the bottom of our cloud. We have some rain showers there. They might not even be hitting the ground. They might just be vargas, you know? A varga, when moisture drops out of a cloud but it doesn't quite reach the earth. Maybe something like that. And the bottom of the cloud, of course, is not completely flat. That's not a thing. Well, in this case, that's not a thing. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they're kind of amazing how flat they are. Alright, well, one thing that does happen on the underside of clouds, or most clouds, is you'll have, because it's the underside, you don't have sunlight shining on it. You have shadow. And this is a big mass, this is a smaller mass. I think I'll allow this one to overlap this one. So although it's larger, it's a little further away than this. So let's continue with this shape. Oh, running out of paint again. Actually, just sitting here, my back is feeling pretty good. That's too big. More raw umber. I think I like the idea of that sitting there. And a little baby cloud that's sort of adjacent to it. That's okay too. We don't just want blobs, we want interest, right? Oh, sorry. You know, I should mention right from the get-go, the reason I'm washing the sky in now, I was just going to draw a few lines, but I'm sort of getting to the point of doing an underpainting of the sky. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm anticipating not being able to sit at the canvas for too long. And if I was going to paint it with a knife, I would want to do it all in one go if possible. And I'm not confident I can spend the day sitting at the easel today. If I use the brush, it's much easier to do a portion of the sky and then revisit it tomorrow or the next day or whenever. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Trying to ensure that I have the look of some layers going on here. Okay, this is in front of this, 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 and this is in front of this. This is also in front of this. This is probably just a hole, maybe not, we'll see. And maybe a bit of an offshoot here as well from this cloud. All right. Oh, this is going a little better than I was anticipating. So maybe what we'll do is just keep playing in the sky for a bit. And I think for the moment, I'm going to just make a management decision here. And how about we get some color in the sky? I'm going to go with ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. We'll keep it fairly dark for the moment, because it's easier to go lighter than it is to go darker. And if I would like, I can take this color and feather it, repeat it here, and then feather it gradually into blue as we go up the sky. That is an option that I'll seriously consider for the moment. When the time comes, who knows? Okay, that's pretty dirty. Pretty dirty blue. And yes, the sky is going to be stylized. My skies are always stylized. It's just how I like them. Mix a little more up on my palette here. I don't care if I match the color perfectly because it is just the underpainting. That's just my sort of the guide. As you can see, the value is a little lighter on this stuff I just mixed, but I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to spend time fretting about things that aren't important. Prioritize, man. Just prioritize. Yeah, as much as I like that orange appearance of the burnt sienna, I'm also happy to see it go. Not always, not with all paintings, but I never really know until I get into it. It's possible to overplan things too much as well, you know. And if you do that, if you tend to overplan things, you tend to fret, you tend to fixate, and you tend to get almost nothing done because you tend to be afraid of yourself. You become afraid of your own decisions. That's not a good place to be. Okay. Back to our raw umber. I am only going to use raw umber, I think. Well, and a bit of white, but I'm only going to use raw umber for the wash-in of the clouds. The colors will vary a little bit when I get into it. Okay, I'm going to get off my tuchus here, and I'm going to make sure my computer stays awake. And I'm also going to drop the camera a little bit so that you can see the whole thing. We'll square it off once I have it washed in so that you can see. Yeah, I know my colors are pretty much the same as the lines that I've drawn. So it still makes for a good guide. It's just that I can see my brush strokes, the direction of my brush strokes, so that helps to maintain my vision of where the clouds and the shapes are going to be. Now if I were to come back tomorrow, because things become a little bit indistinct, I may not remember where everything is. So now I'm committing to washing in the whole sky. And we're almost there anyway. Obviously this is not. I don't have a long way to go. Okay, back to our umber, back to a little bit of white. These clouds in the foreground are how light is that? It's a little bit light. A little bit too light. Or in the shadow. They'll still catch ambient light, you know, they still have shapes. Because they still have light coming from different directions. They just don't necessarily have direct sunlight on them, that's all. Okay, a little more umber, a little more white. Yeah, I'll paint that in. I can put the hole in later if I want a hole there. I'm not sure that I do anyway. Okay, so our dip in the clouds, you know, we're more or less in the middle. Doesn't matter. This pulls it up to the left. This is important. This will stand out in the viewer's eye. This will become a little more muted because we're going to deal with, in general, lower values here. You don't see it now, but it will come. You will see it when the time is right. Yeah, and I think I like the idea of dropping some rain shower out of the bottom of that one. You know, I could do it here. If you just look at the cloud in this, yeah, you know, you could do that. But then what we would do is we would have too much symmetry here, you know. I don't want it to drop here and then drop here, because then we're repeating, we're making a dome over a dome, and that dome is so important. We want to counterbalance it. We don't want to reinforce it. And if I were to paint this up to here and make this flat here and only have it on this side, then we've kind of lost the feel of the visuals springing from here, you know? So anyway, it is what it is. I'm probably talking a little further down the road than I should be right now. I should let the painting speak for itself. My goodness, if the painting was finished and I hung it in a wall in a gallery, and it had to have an entire description of the painting beside the painting, you know, the history or where it is or what have you, it's fine. But if I actually had to explain what you're looking at, then what's the point of visual art? It's not visual art anymore, is it? It needs to be self-explanatory with room for imagination. Always room for imagination. And speaking of that, let me just... Let me just finish the last of this stuff. Is that too dirty? It's probably, yeah, it's too dirty. This mixture was, if I remember right, cad red medium, cobalt blue, and white. We'll go back to that now. And I add a little yellow ochre to warm it up. Still too dirty? You know, it'll sort of do. I'm going to add a touch more alizarin crimson and white to that. I just want to approximate this stuff on the bottom, but I want to give it the feeling that it's getting a little bit higher in value. Okay. Well, with the addition of a little more playing around, I think we're looking pretty good for a wash-in. Maybe give my brush a little wash here. Give my palette a little wipe. Square off the camera here. Okay. Distant cloud obliterated by some moisture. I'm probably going to take some of these colors and feather them to blue, starting here, going up into the blues. This color may even overtake a lot of the blues. Don't know. It's okay. I've allowed the option to stay open. Like the color so far. But remember that these colors I laid in with very little thinner, very little paint thinner. So if I may not even have to go and paint into those anymore. We'll see. I want this painting to have some color, as you can see. Reconciling this color and those colors, that is to come. And they don't have to be the same. There are all kinds of examples in nature showing situations like this. I've heard the comment many times, boy, you wouldn't believe what a strange sunset that was. You know, that's all depends on how you perceive it. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Cheers.